I would like to thank TAPA Asia for the invitation. All right, so what I would like to do quickly would be to highlight how many of you have heard of business continuity. Just raise your hand. Okay, you may leave the room now. Okay. All right. Just think of business continuity as a extension to the entire security of the entire supply chain now. I think that's what I'm going to start off with this session. Nothing new except the focus is on business continuity of the supply chain itself. Now, as the topic says, how to prepare for next supply chain disaster. It happens every day. Disaster happens every day, and this is something that is inevitable, and it will happen. It will continue to happen. It could happen from a security point of view. It could happen from a natural disaster point of view. And so, from a supply chain perspective, quickly, it tends to be disruption to transportation, inventory loss, suppliers failing to fulfill your orders. It may not be their fault. It could be just because the airport in Europe is closed. So it's not that they can't fulfill, but it's because of causes that is beyond their control. So how do you manage this? This is where you have to go into a component basis and analyze it. Other things will be inability to communicate with your customers, suppliers, providers, and this is likely to become a disaster. The most important thing is when you do a business continuity review of your supply chain, understand every single component of your supply chain, and every single point is a failure. So if you look at it, your company, from the source, make and deliver, you move it up. How does it affect my production planning, my distribution, my delivery, my demand, and my operational planning? So what I'm trying to emphasize is every single part has to be looked into. So when we talk about business continuity, again, I emphasize, do not think about recovery, which is what I'm quite concerned. The more important thing is go into your whole entire processes, whether you're manufacturing or whether it's supply chain or you logistic, whatever, inbound, outbound, warehouse, all this, you have to look at each processes and highlight exactly what needs to be done. And most of this decision has to be made at very high level. And it probably requires a couple of years to put all those things in place to make your processes more resilient to a disaster or disruption. What are the key considerations that people are beginning to say is that we have to maintain safety stock, which means inventory will go obsolete very fast. So there is a balance between what is excess stock and what is acceptable. And this has to be moderated among itself. Other things will be to actually focus on transportation path. I think what we're trying to emphasize is there must be a continuity plan to address your processes. So most of you, when you go back, while going through your 28,000 and so forth, one of the things is to go back to the processes and find exactly if this component fails, what do you do? If this component fails, what do you do? I mean, the thinking process is very important because in every disaster that I've handled, pre-thinking while drinking coffee is very healthy. But you attempt to actually start to think during a disaster, my condolences, because you will make a lot of mistakes. So we have to start thinking about it now. For those who have not started, start to think about it, break it into component, and most of these issues has to be escalated back to senior management. Okay, last but not least, in conclusion, the key thing is this. All organizations should proceed to develop a business continuity planning methodology. This is something very fundamental. Whether you are developing a business continuity for supply chain, security, crisis management, IT recovery, business, anything else, must follow the same methodology so that we can have a consistent way of delivering all the plans within the organization. The most important thing is to understand that this project is a mega project. We must divide and conquer and break them down into small bites whereby we can manage and move the results over to the next phase. Next, from a supply chain point of view, always remember, go into the component. I call it component analysis, whereby every component has to be studied. And most of the things that I've seen so far has to be escalated back to the region or even the global HQ because it requires diversity, it requires resiliency in your supply chain, a lot of spare capacity which should be converted into something profitable. So this is something you don't build things which are not profitable. You use the resiliency and put it as part of your business plan to make more money. And that's how business should continue to grow with this objective. Please make sure you guys are trained before they start their work. I've seen enough people who struggle, finish their whole project, boss says, good, well done, send you for a 5-day course, and then you go back, you have 10 days worth of work to recover. And that is not the right thing. With that note, I thank you.
This video is brought to you by the Business Continuity Management Institute. Check out our website at www.bcminstitute.org for more videos.